I am very aware of the attention my kids don't get from me. And I feel guilty about it always. And that sucks. I wish that I could give them more of me. And at times I just don't have the capacity. And I'm honest with them about that. And I hate it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Unweighted podcast. I am your host, Derek Peterson, and this is my co-host and soon to not be friend anymore, Hannah Stevens.
You're so enthusiastic. I loved it. It was like all of a sudden.
I knew as soon as I hit record,
yes!
I went straight into... It's the only way to get the audience in, Hannah, is to be engaging. All right,
I got it. I'm on board. I'm here for
with
it.
all the times you canceled on me doing podcasts, now I have to be excited to get you back on. So
fuck you, motherfucker.
And see, now pulling out racist stuff as well. Like,
sorry,
like it's just getting worse for you.
I'm not faring well in this situation.
What if the three people that listen to our podcast, two of them happen to be Asian women?
I'm going to go one step further and say the likelihood of that's really low because most Asian women are very small and tiny.
They're not looking for information on how to lose weight. That's an accurate statement. So yeah, we've just all right. Well,
here we go.
We started this one off right. Well,
shit.
How was the week, Hannah? How was
God.
How was the holidays?
It was actually really. The holidays were great. This was one of the better years that I can remember for the holidays, and I'm sure having a small child contributed to that and making it more magical and more fun. But also, and on topic for us today about family dynamics, specifically over the holidays, it was great. It was really good, and it was seamless and smooth and wonderful. So I'm happy to report that.
Yeah, we'll hit our normal start, which is the worst thing that happened this week. Since we're going to be talking about the holidays, we'll unpack that a bunch more. So the worst thing that happened this week, what was it, Hannah?
Okay, so mine's a little bit weird, but it's been bothering me unendingly since I did it because I'm trying to be budget conscientious lately, and I just lit a bunch of money on fire was what happened, essentially. Oh, for Christmas Eve, my family, my husband's family, everybody, we all went to dinner downtown. We all went to Christmas Eve church service and then went to dinner downtown at a steakhouse. It's going to be an expensive dinner. Cool. This is what we're going to do as a family. It's our one thing to do, whatever. So I'm like, I'll take the bill. We'll figure it out on the back end. We'll make it easier on the waiter and not like, hey, you're paying for this. I'm paying for this. Like, I'll just pay for it and then we'll figure it out. I'm a distracted mother with a child, so he brings the bill and I give him my credit card, and then I always tip in cash if I can because I just think it's a nice thing to do. And I was not paying attention, and there was already gratuity included in the total. So not only did he get 20%, but then I tipped another 30% on top of that in cash. And I based the 30% tip off of the total that already included 20% motherfucking gratuity. So I gave this motherfucker a 60% tip on a $1,200 bill. I tipped $600. I just threw out the window. And then didn't realize it until after we left. And I was like, God, that was more expensive than I was thinking it was going to be. Why was that? And I looked at the itemized receipt and I was like, motherfucker, why didn't I think they were going to include gratuity already? It just didn't even cross my mind. And I'm like, oh, it's because I had a child who was throwing food in the middle of a nice steakhouse. So I was distracted. And then he was being so nice to us. He was like, oh, I'll follow you to the front of the restaurant and take your whole family's photo and do all these things. I was like, God, he's so nice. Well, now I know why. Yeah, because he was like, this woman was so generous. Anyway, funny. I know. So not a great time of year to be lighting $600 on fire, but what the fuck ever.
You just made that guy's entire Christmas.
That's the only reason. Like, I didn't try to fix it.
That guy's son just got the electric scooter that he wanted because of you.
Call me fucking Santa.
I will, Santa.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you? What's the worst thing that happened to you this week?
The worst thing that happened to me this week was we are, oddly enough, financially, Tamara and I decided that we were not going to give gifts to each other this year
Yeah,
because we know that things are tight financially and we save every year for Christmas. And so any money that's left over, we would normally spend on ourselves to use for gifts for each other. But this year we
sure.
decided to just pull that money back and put it back towards next year's
Nice.
Christmas gifts. So there's always a little bit of a bummer with that because it's
Sure.
like, and it has nothing to do with me getting anything. I'm not a big gift receiver. Like I don't care
Yeah.
that much, but it does feel shitty. Like it
No,
sucks,
I get
right?
it. Yeah,
Sucks not having like doing a gift exchange with, I mean, it was cool to see our kids and experience, like have them experience normal Christmas even though we're going through a tougher
tough
time
season.
financially.
Yeah,
So like that part of that's like the silver lining in all of it, but it still kind of sucks, not to be able to,
totally.
not to feel like I'm giving, especially since for years, like that's been the thing, right? Like I've always enjoyed giving more than I received in
Yeah,
that with specifically with her. So,
sure.
but that's how it goes. It's this is the life we signed up for when it comes to running your own business and
Totally.
on a down year, you feel the down year. So,
Yeah.
because I'm not on a salary, so that's how it goes.
Yep.
So, I feel like I have a hair or something touching my nose, and it's driving me nuts. Because I, it like feels like I have a booger on the outside of my nose, and I can't get it off. But there's nothing there, so I don't know what to do.
Well,
I'll
I
I'll
can't see anything, so that's good.
I will edit that part out.
I think you should keep it.
Just
Boogers.
for the two Asian women that are watching our podcast right now. All right. So, getting into our main topic for today, we're going to discuss family dynamics around the holidays. I thought this was an interesting topic to bring up because, for the sole purpose that I think that how you handle holidays and the stress around holidays tends to be to some degree an example of like the holidays can be a little bit of a microcosm of life, right?
Totally.
So like if your holidays are full of like family discord and financial strife and like all of the like this type of year brings all of that out, this a good, and I say this because I went through it,
Sure.
it's that reality check, and so it's interesting to see how where everybody's at during this season of life, and if you've been through enough hard seasons, holiday seasons, has it inspired you to change things for good? So I wanted to kind of start in this area because we both are divorced with kids. What's the biggest difference for you for your holidays that you're now starting to provide compared to the holidays that you had growing up?
Well, it's interesting because I think what I am figuring out about myself as a parent is that, and I think this is very common, I don't think I'm special in this, but when you become a parent, and especially if you had a troubled childhood at any degree, you tend to overcompensate for your own child. As an example, when I grew up, a lot of the times my house was very disorganized and messy. And so, as a parent, it's very important to me to provide a clean, organized environment for my child. Sometimes I go way too far in that direction to the point where I'm a little neurotic about it. And so I have to kind of pull myself back. So, as a child, my holidays were I mean, they were never bad per se, but they were always from age 6 and on split, right? So it's
Yeah.
like Christmas, I was either with my mom or with my dad, and then we had to do the shuffle and we had to figure that out. And as a young child, maybe there's a silver lining, which is that you get 2 Christmases. Um, but I think what you don't necessarily realize, at least when you're young, is that you're missing out on a lot of what the magic of Christmas really is, which is this unified experiencing of family time and all being in one place at one time. And so not having that as a young child or even really as a younger adult, it's really important for me to try to create that for myself, not only myself, but my child too. And it's difficult to do when you have divorced parents and then you have you have a spouse who also has family dynamics. But I think this year specifically, one of the things that made it so wonderful was that we all kind of realized, hey, like there's only so many years that we have left to all be in the same place at the same time if we can be. And we made it happen. And it was
Yeah.
really wonderful and magical and special for everybody for different reasons. So
That's awesome.
it
Is there
was.
is there specific things that you like to recreate now that were like your favorite parts about Christmas and Thanksgiving growing up?
Yeah, so I have very fond my mother's side of the family, we're a strange bunch, like, we're just an eclectic group of people that are really wonderful, and a lot of us are very highly intelligent people, which makes for really funny conversation. As an example okay, my mother's sister is such an interesting human being, and she one year this is people are gonna hear this and be like, "The fuck is your family?"
Yeah.
She put a tape recorder in the bathroom and requested that everybody record their farts anytime they went to the bathroom so that then she could make a compilation of holiday farts. And
Did that come to fruition? Is there a
yes,
compilation of holiday
yes,
parts out? This is
yes, and
amazing.
I know,
Was it
and
was it,
I
the gift for the next year?
I don't even remember when we got to hear it or if we even got to hear it, I don't know, but we definitely all recorded our farts. And this year at Thanksgiving, technically Thanksgiving, not Christmas, um, we all remembered that. And so around the table, we were going around laughing hysterically about the time that our Aunt Lisa made us record our farts at Christmas.
Yeah.
And so then it was this running joke of we're all farteurs, connoisseurs of farts, and it was just anyway, all that
Yeah.
to say my Christmas traditions were the the oddities of our family coming to the surface and being totally at peace with being a weird fucked up family and kind of enjoying it.
Oh yeah,
And
everybody has like weird stuff like that happens. Like and that's why I asked because like for example, like with our family, we would every year my dad wasn't he would be home for the holidays. It's which is one of the few times of the year growing up that we remember him almost always being home. So
sure,
Christmas like was a little bit more exciting for that reason when I was
sure.
little because it's like okay, at least we know dad's going to show up for Christmas. So he'll
Yeah,
be back in the house for that. But he also knew that he had 3 boys and so we were constantly trying to spy and catch Santa every year. Like that was
yeah,
the goal. We're going to find this motherfucker and we're
yeah.
going to catch him in the act, which is like now a bunch of movies, but we would my dad would my dad would take fishing line and he would run it through the hallway and connect the end of it to pots and pans that were
Oh,
hanging.
cute,
And
cute.
so it's in the middle of the night, inevitably we would send my little brother out to try to like and we knew at this point we knew that there was going to be fishing line somewhere and sure enough he would trip it and then my dad's massive, right? So my dad's 400 pounds. So as soon as that pan hits the floor, you just hear this like ogre get out of bed and his footsteps stomping through the house. You're like, oh shit. So we
Oh,
all
shit.
scatter immediately back to the bedroom. It was like a Christmas tradition. It was
I love
hilarious.
this. This is totally
So
like a movie. It's so
yeah.
cute.
So then with my kids a couple years ago, I didn't do fishing line, but I would take blue tape and I would tape the entire hallway off so they couldn't get through with and they would have to like try to untape it and I would do it kind of strategically in a pattern that I knew. So I'm like,
Yeah, it's been moved.
if any of this tape has been moved, you get no Christmas gifts.
Yeah,
Santa will take them all back. So like the
nice.
girls knew like if they came out of their bedroom, one tradition from growing up that I took and modified it into something else. And I stopped doing it obviously because my kids are a little bit older now, but
Sure.
it's funny because they asked me about it this year. They were like, "Are you going to tape the hallway off still?" And I was like, "No, I'm not
No,
taping You guys
we're
all
done.
know Santa's not real
Santa's not
now."
real.
So
Yeah,
I'm not. I have zero desire to tape off the hallway and add more work to my plate. So
yeah.
the which is hilarious, but yeah, it's fun. Like some of these are interesting dynamics. Is there things about your Christmas that your family does now still that if you could change it, you would?
Ooh. No, not really, because there's not really anything that's super annoying or bothersome to me about my family at the holidays. Also, you know, as time goes on, your family shrinks and you lose people. And so those times when we're all together become actually more precious because it's just this constant reminder that next year could be different. Next year could be different. So and so might not be here anymore. My grandmother's 95
Yeah.
and she's very healthy and she's great. And I pray to God we get another 10 years with her, but you just never know. Right. So even if there were something that were annoying or bothersome, I would make peace with it because I'll miss it and I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I remember when when my grandma was getting old, like she was like the last Christmas we had with her, she would always get us like pretty good gifts. I remember I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade, I think. Was so stoked to open this gift from her, and I open it and it is an action figure pony. Yeah, it is a pony and an action figure. I had no idea what to do with it, and I looked at my mom and my mom was just like, "Don't say anything.
Don't say
Don't
anything.
say
Just say
anything.
thank you.
Yeah, just say thank you and we'll talk later."
Oh my God.
Like I will give you $10, just don't say a word.
Don't say a word. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That's funny. That reminds me, one of my favorite gifts I ever received also was from my grandmother, and she fucked up. It was a mistake, and she had wrapped what she thought was my present, but it wasn't my present. It was, and this is so weird because it makes her sound like she's unwell, but
My
it was
grandma was unwell, by the way. She was starting, it was the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, but
okay. Well, there you go. That explains that. My grandmother wrapped a dinner napkin, a fabric dinner napkin, because it accidentally made its way into the package because that's where she was wrapping the gift, was on her dining table, and a half open, half used pack of Freedent gum. If I've ever heard of an old person gift, that's it.
The
A
old
dinner
people,
napkin and a half pack of Freedent gum.
the old people from that generation are hilarious. It's like, have you seen that LeBron James Kevin Hart commercial where it's like a DraftKings commercial and Kevin Hart's joking about LeBron looking old because he's going bald, and
Oh,
he's like, "I'm expecting you to like pull some unwrapped Werthers out of your pocket and try to hand it to me," because you're like,
yep,
"Yeah, that was like
that's
unwrapped
it.
Werthers, lemon drops, things
Yep,
like that." My grandpa always had them in his pocket, and you're
yep.
like, he would hand you one, you're like, it has like lint and hair on it, but you're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's candy
Yep.
still. All right.
Still sort of candy. This is when we go to church every Sunday with my grandmother, and she will pull that shit out of her, the crinkly
Yeah.
in the middle of the church service, and it'll take her a minute and a half to unwrap this goddamn piece of candy. And I'm not going to bitch at her.
No,
Go to town, Grandma. Have a great
she's,
fucking time.
yeah, yeah, she's lived a long enough life to annoy some people sometimes.
Yep.
So the,
Yep.
so you haven't had to experience this yet, which you probably will. Divorce life with a child.
Fuck off. Such a
No.
dick. Such a dick.
No, it's interesting because so the dynamic in our household is different every year because
Sure.
there's a lot of years that that I don't have every other year I don't have the girls on Christmas Day. And then this year was particularly interesting because I logged into Facebook Christmas Eve, and I saw, I think, 4 different photos of female friends or acquaintances that I know posting like a tree, a half-lit tree in a dark room in an empty house. Like, this
Because they
year
didn't have
hits
their kids.
yeah, this year hits different. Don't have my kids, not at home, that type of thing. Spending Christmas
Yeah.
alone. And so a lot of my life changed, 6, 7 years ago, 6, 7 years
Oh,
ago.
God.
That's how you know I have teenage children.
True story.
6 or 7 years ago when, and it was around the holiday season. And I remember, it wasn't the first holiday I'd spent alone, but it was one of the harder holidays because I had just finally decided I was going to get my shit together. So I wasn't drinking. I was eating healthy. I wasn't going out. I was off social media completely. And I didn't have the girls. So, and I wasn't dating anybody. I was not allowing myself
You
to
were
date.
alone.
I was alone. So, I woke up Christmas morning and I went to Town Lake, where there was ample parking. There's me parked there. was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna take front row parking,
Yep.
and no, and y'all can just fuck off.
Yeah.
So I got out and I ran like 6 or 7 miles around Town Lake. I got home and I did meal prep. So on Christmas Day, meal prepped,
God,
ate some chicken, watched like I think I rewatched like a season of Game of Thrones that day or something.
that
And
sounds
just
appropriate.
yeah, and totally, yeah. It was like it's the most anti-Christmas thing I can do.
Yeah.
But but it's interesting because like it was moments like that that made me realize like, oh, like what did I actually want my holidays to look like, you know? And then you fast forward to now where, you know, I've been doing this for a lot longer and the years that the times that I don't have my girls, like I used the moments of pain and like challenge from that season of my life to ultimately guide where I wanted to be. I didn't want to continue to live that story over and over again because I've been through it enough times, right? And there's the holidays can be really shitty for a number of reasons. Like if you're in a bad marriage, bad relationship, you don't like your in-laws, like there's so much stuff that can go on. They can
Yeah.
feel so loaded and heavy, right? And
Totally.
like I think it's a critical part of life to like kind of look at seasons like this and be like, man, like if this isn't good, what do I want it to actually look like? And you know, you fast forward to this year where, you know, it was me and Tamara and Oz and Britt, and we had Oz for those that are listening that don't know is my wife's ex-husband and his girlfriend, and we co-parent our boys incredibly well, and the girls were with us this year, so we woke up to a full house, like spent all Christmas Eve together. There was um no problems, nobody getting upset and leaving, nobody like getting too drunk and saying something they
Love it.
shouldn't. Like
Love it.
it's just it's you know like and so I say all that because it's I think for a lot of people they experience these things, and if the pattern isn't if your holidays are shitty to some degree, I feel like it is a connection to your life. You know, like
Yes.
because if you
Yeah, it's a
struggle around
pressure cooker. It just it reduces what your life is really like down into a 24-hour period. And it's gonna shove all of those things injected into a concentrated version of what your daily life is like. It really does.
yeah, and the same thing that the other thing that was happening during that year that was I was alone was that I was broke.
Yeah.
I was getting I actually had to have my mom help me buy a couple of Christmas gifts for my daughters because my credit cards were maxed and I was almost completely out of money. And so like not only was I completely alone at my own and it was my own fault, I was also broke.
Yeah.
And you know, it's moments like that that you make a decision like, oh, I don't want to be in this again. And so am I going to actually institute real change in my life? Am I actually going to try to get myself out of this mess where I'm and through disciplines, right? Not like, oh, I'm going to win the lottery and everything's going to be
Right.
fine in a couple of years.
Right.
It's like, no, next year I'm going to save so that even
I'm
if
prepared.
even if it's a hard year financially, I still have money for this, which
Yeah.
was fucking awesome because we did that. You know, like
Right.
this year was the most stressful year I've had probably since that year. Um, and we financially were fine with our kids because we've been saving all year for Christmas. So
Totally.
like it worked out. So financially we weren't stressed. Relationally we weren't stressed. So this year would have been a terrible holiday season if we had not done the work of setting good boundaries with our family, getting
Totally.
ourselves into a good position, and then getting ourselves into a stable position financially, you know? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like it's crazy to think about it, but like the amount of change and lifestyle that can improve in just 5 or 6 years is crazy, you know?
Yeah, it is. It seems like that's a long period of time, but it's not. 5 or 6 years will go by in the blink of an eye, and to have that much change in that short a period of time is just massively impressive, and I commend you because I know that there are so few people in this world that have the guts, the balls to actually tackle their demons and figure it out and make the life for themselves that they want, and you're one of those people, and I'm
No.
proud of you and glad to know you because of that, and I'm so glad that you are reaping the benefits of that hard work now, even when you're in a tough season of life.
Yeah, and I say that because you know, like, look, it's not trying to pat my own back on this
No,
stuff.
of course.
It's more because like the you know the hope of even like having conversations like this are in the event that, one of these conversations gets to one ear of somebody that's like, "Oh, I want this to change and I have no idea how," because the one thing I have learned through the entire process of like actually desiring to change myself is that a lot of people will tell you they want to change and they absolutely have no desire to. Like
Right. Right.
ultimately what it comes down to is they wish their life was different, but when push comes to shove, they would rather cope than
Yes. Dig in.
actually change. Yeah,
Yeah.
because change requires like a new adaptation. It means responding differently during hard times.
Yeah.
It means like doing the opposite of what you feels good and feels right.
Yeah.
And that's just what people don't want to do. And so,
Yeah.
like I've wasted so much breath on people that had actuals that would say they wanted to change and have zero desire to actually do it. That,
Right.
like for the people that are out there that want it, it's totally possible. Like and for some people, like I feel like emotionally for me, life, when I realized like I was like the fat person that just needed good dietary information emotionally, because
Yeah.
like the desire to change was truly there. It's
Sure.
just I needed the path. And when I
Yeah.
found the path, I was like, this is great. But
Yeah.
like same as like a fat person that doesn't want to change their eating habits, they want to just be skinny while eating the same things. Like it's
Sure.
just never going to happen.
Right.
So, but your parents divorced when you were younger,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was 6.
So what was that like for you with holidays growing up?
It's interesting because, and it's funny because it's translated now into my adulthood. What I was going to say is my dad and his side of the family were just never, they weren't ever really like, it's not that they didn't care about the holidays, but they just weren't as emotionally like hostage to them. Like if the holidays didn't go according to plan or you got together 3 days later, like no big deal. If I couldn't be with my dad, he was like, whatever, I'll see you when I see you, no big deal. Which was nice actually because it took a lot of the pressure away of having to try to make everybody happy. Um, my mom and her side of the family love the holidays, care for the holidays, and so making that side of my family a little bit more priority around that time was kind of the way that it always went, and it was fine for everybody. But then you throw in my ex-husband's family who also holidays were everything to them, and then splitting that time was very dramatic and bullshit.
Yeah.
And so we were literally, I remember one year we went from my house in Austin, my mother's house in Austin, family's house in Austin, all the way up to Dallas to go see his side of the family and then see his dad's side of the family and then all the way back home. We were on the road for like 18 hours that day because everybody
Ooh,
wanted to see us. And it was like, blow my brains out. I'm never doing this again. This is awful.
yeah.
And so, and it was kind of always that way with my ex-husband's side of the family. We were always having to split time, and his mom was pissed that we weren't there and blah, blah, blah. And it was just, they had a weird dynamic between them and they had an unhealthy mother-son relationship that I had to work around, and
Yeah.
glad that's not my reality anymore. And now I think that was kind of the most, we actually had, I made a toast at Christmas Eve dinner with my family because I had this realization of how precious and wonderful that moment was that we were all having, that me and my husband and my child were together, married, happily married and healthy. My mother was there with her ex-husband, my father and his wife, and we were all in the same space coexisting, loving, being together, if for no other reason than the sake of my child who's getting to have all of her grandparents in the same space. Then you bring in Shane's mother, and she's there getting to enjoy her grandchild and seeing all of us in the same space coexisting. And so I raised a glass and I said, I just want to acknowledge how wonderful it is that we're all in the same space. We all genuinely love and like each other. And my child is getting to experience her whole family in one place on Christmas. It makes me emotional right now just
Mm,
thinking about it
yeah.
because it's so special. It's so special, not just my family, but her whole family in one place. Like it's
Yeah.
so rare and it's so wonderful. And I would love to have that happen every year. Who knows if that will be feasible? I don't know, but as often as I can get it for her, I want it for her because really it's for me too. Getting to see my child experience that is healing for me.
Yeah.
And it was precious and wonderful. And it's really funny because, side note, my family dynamics on my side are very odd and they're wonderful, but they're odd. So my mom and dad and stepmother were all technically kind of roommates in college. So my mom and stepmother were like best friends in college and lived together. They actually did live under one roof. And along with my stepmother's sister, who was also my mom's best friend. Then my dad comes into the picture. And technically, my mom dated my stepmom's brother for a period of time. So it was this like
Oh,
big incestual,
I was gonna
like
say that's isn't.
1970s. Yeah. And so then my mom and dad got together, got married, had me. When I was born, my now stepmom was there in the hospital room when I was born. And then my parents got divorced. Several years passed. My dad ended up getting together with my now stepmom, my mom's best friend. Not at the time necessarily. They had kind of found their own paths in life. But so all that to say, it could be a really fucked up situation where everybody hates each other and it's really
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but it's the exact opposite. It's like, "Oh, my stepmom is like my godmother who was there when I was born and loves me and loves my mother, and my dad is so great." There was like this running joke at Christmas Eve dinner that my dad had fucked 2 of the women at the table.
That's that sounds like my kind of Christmas. Sounds like
Right?
that's it. Yeah. I mean, that's like the dynamic in our house too, with
Oh, yeah, between you and Oz, it's like, "Well, we both had
Tara's
sex
like,
with
yeah,
Tamara."
yeah. And then worse is me and Oz look like brothers. So
Yeah, you all
people
do
that don't
favor
know
each
us,
other a bit.
yeah, the people that don't know us, like, will ask us often if we're brothers, and we're like, "No, just his ex-wife, my current wife, has the exact same taste." And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's just how it works.
It's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
it is funny, but it's also awesome. Like, it's good. I think it's probably one of the reasons why you're as emotionally mature as you are is that we've
1,000%.
like, and this is the same dynamic that I hope for my kids. And it's interesting because Tamara and I talk about this a lot because one of her biggest fears is that our kids are gonna meet other partners
Families? Yeah.
that don't wanna learn how to sign, and that the
Oh,
byproduct of that is that they're going to want to be away from us during the
totally,
holidays and
totally.
during because it's more work
It's
to
work. Yeah.
to be around us. And so it's been interesting to like kind of navigate that because those feelings are real
Yeah,
while also at the same time like the most attractive thing about the holidays for us is that they're actually a time to relax. So we've set boundaries with our family. We don't invite family members anymore. Like, we've cut out siblings and parents and people like that we don't want here. They don't get
sure.
invited. And
Yeah.
so that helps a lot. That creates a dynamic in the house. It's really comfortable for all
Chill.
of us. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas are really enjoyable days where
Yeah.
we play games, have fun. There's no fighting. And we've created a dynamic like that in the house for the reason of is that we hope that our kids will be attracted to it as they get older. Like
Sure.
the we can't force the kids to come back to us once they're gone. Like,
Right.
we can't expect them if they're going to move out and if their loyalty is to, their partner's family or whatever the situation is, that's going to
Sure.
be out of our control.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the last thing we wanna do is to try to control them, and
Yeah.
so there really is, like, this process now of building a dynamic of joy and, like, that you can just be yourself because ultimately what we want is I want my kids, even if they have to go to another Christmas party or whatever, that if it's stressful and strenuous, that they cannot wait to get to our house because they
Totally.
know that they're just going to be able to, like, unwind. They
Yes.
know that that's a place they can be themselves, they can joke around, that, there's gonna be no drama, there's gonna be no, and if there is drama and they're part of it, they're not gonna get invited to Christmas
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what I mean? That's we've done made a lot of hard decisions around how we handle holidays now, and that's a I'm hoping that for the next generation that our kids see that and that it's worth the investment, that they see the value of like just having a place where, you know, uh they can go and just chill, and that
Yeah.
there's no drama, and hopefully they find a good enough partner that their partner's family's the same. But and if that's the case, we're fucked, right? They're just gonna never come back. But
And have a true splitting of time.
But I'll be happy because that means they're living their best life. So
Totally.
do you have goals for you guys' future holidays?
Yeah, and I it depends on if we have another child or not. That will obviously have a pretty significant impact on what the holidays look like.
Are we taking votes on that? Because
I know what your fucking vote is, dickhead. Your vote is no more babies.
Ever. I was like, can we just stop procreating? The world is not known.
Shane can't listen to this episode because then he'll be like, yep, I told you. I fucking told you. Let's take it from the guy who's got 4 kids. Let's stop while we're ahead.
That one kid is perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, they get your attention. You don't feel bad. Like it's,
Don't say all of this. Stop it. Stop it.
Having siblings, you're always like, oh, the siblings are going to play together and keep no, it doesn't work. It's just twice the amount of work.
Shut up.
It's like, how like when you get a dog and you want it to play with the other dog, but really now you just have 2 animals that are looking to play with you rather than one animal that wants to play with you.
Yes.
That's what having a second kid is like.
I get it. I do get it. But
both my dogs are currently sitting, they will sit here and stare at me until I play with them. And I'm like, that's why we got the other one. That's why you're here.
Y'all do with each other.
You're 2 supposed to play with each other. Like that's the whole point. I didn't want another dog just staring at me to play with me.
I know. Well, the thing is, a lot of my reasoning for wanting to have a second child, the first reason is that as an only child, it sucked. And dealing with aging parents as an only child sucks. So there's a lot of practicality in having multiple children for me, for my child's sake. But also the other super dark side for me, because I'm such I'm so morbid sometimes, is because I see this shit on social media. People lose their child, their child dies. And then the thought of not being a parent anymore just makes me so sick to my stomach. And I'm like, if I had another child, I'd have something to live for still. And this is very dark, but this is where my head goes. Dark. Okay, well, it's the real life. It is real life.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think real feelings are necessarily dark if they're real.
Well, it's when you really distill it down to hi, I think I might like to have a second child in case this kid dies. It's like, ugh. But no, kind of.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have been like, yeah, I'm going to go and have this baby because it's going to fix my marriage. Like people have kids for dumb reasons.
I know.
We all have a facade or think that it's going to do something that it's not. And the reality is if you did lose one kid, the odds of that fucking up the second kid even worse is probably way higher, meaning I
get that there's another side to the
emotion. Yes, the emotional toll it takes of losing a child usually means that the living child gets neglected at that point. So
I get it. There is that to take into consideration, and I really have to make sure Shane does not hear this podcast episode because he'll be like, well, that decides it for me.
I'm texting him the link directly. Oh shit! Did that actually? Sorry, Shane. I meant to send that to.
I meant to send that to Hannah.
Can you forward?
But
that
you should probably watch this and fast forward to minute 36. God.
I'm like, oh, sorry, Shane. That was meant for Hannah. I just changed her last name in my phone, so you guys' contacts got mixed up.
Only just now. So respectful.
Actually, I still don't know if it's fully changed. I think it might still be Myers, but we'll
probably.
See.
I would put money on it still being Myers. Such an ass.
No, but I don't think that that's necessarily morbid. I think that there's obviously there is a dynamic that parents want when they pass away, they don't want to feel like they're leaving their child alone.
Totally.
But honestly, that's one of the reasons why my wife and her family don't get along.
Yeah.
Like Tamara's sister is a challenge. She's a drug addict. She can't hold a job. She didn't finish school. She spends all of her day basically living on what she gets for her disability because her sister's fully deaf. And she can barely hold, like, that works part-time jobs and smokes weed all day, and that's not the life Tamara wants and is not something she connects with, and so
Sure.
she's had to set real boundaries with her sister because her sister's difficult to get along with, and that ultimately has put um wedge in between her and her parents because her parents want Tamara, being the responsible one, to essentially be the caregiver for her sister if they pass away. And Tamara's like, that's not my
Hell
responsibility.
no. Yeah.
Furthermore, the lack of her ability to operate on her own comes in large part because of her parents
Enabling her.
enabling. And Tamara's said that. And so
Yeah.
like she's like, I'm not you guys, I'm not going to
Yeah. I'm
continue
not going to pick up
enabling.
the bullshit of your mess.
Correct. Like I'm not gonna be, just because you're enabling her to do nothing with her life doesn't mean that it's my responsibility to continue that when you're
Yeah.
gone. You
No,
know, and
hell
so
no.
I say all of that because sometimes having the second child is not what you think it doesn't produce the result that you think it is, would
No,
produce,
and I'm
you know?
I'm I'm not unrealistic about that. Whatever I have kind of romanticized or fantasized in my head about having a second child, some of that may come to fruition. Some of that may be what I want it to be, but I'm not naive to the fact that it will be harder than I could have ever imagined. It will be more of a struggle. I know all of that to be true, but I also know what I want my future family to look like around the holidays, to be specific.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of having another person in the mix to create memories with and make a joke about and all of those things, so that that time when it's hard, which is a significant portion of time, it's not anything small, um right now to me feels worth it.
Yeah.
um and it may not be, and I may regret it, and it, or it may not even happen. Who knows? It takes two to tango, right? So if Shane's not on board, well, here's what I can say for sure: unless Shane can look me in the eye and say, I fully want this too, and I'm completely on board to do this, I won't do it. Because the
Yeah.
last thing I want to do is bring a child into the world. Life gets exponentially harder because it will. And then he looks at me and he says, I fucking told you so. So enjoy,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to do this. Like, you wanted this. You can clean up all the dishes. You can do all of this because I told you this was going to be hard and I wasn't on board.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Somebody
That
might
doesn't
hear
ever go
that.
over well.
No, well, and it's I was gonna say, somebody may be listening to this and be like, God, what a dick that he would say that to you. But there's also a portion of me that goes, if he genuinely doesn't want to have a second child because it's going to be harder than he wants it to be, and I push him to do that, it
Listen to
it
him now.
yeah,
You're correct in that because you're right, because it puts him in a terrible position, right? Because if it happens and it is as hard as having two kids is, which it is, it's
yeah,
exponentially harder than one.
yeah,
Uh and it feels overwhelming for him. Then yeah, he can lean on that and be like, yeah, I told you so. I didn't want this for this reason, but
right.
that also doesn't change the circumstance. The child's there,
They're
and so
there.
and then it builds resentment, and
Resentment.
like everybody's like, and then validating that is even challenging, right? Because even to like
Totally.
hear that and being like, yes, I know you said this and I agree, this is hard
But I
and
still
challenging,
need your fucking
but
help.
yeah, but I still need you to show up. Like it gets really dicey, like
Hard. I
some of the
know.
hardest shit you can go through, right? So
Totally.
yeah, and I think these are all conversations worth having. But I mean, if you're right, if you and Shane are on the same page, I'm not going to hate on you guys having another baby. Just
Thanks,
it
Derek.
it is exponentially hard. It is not like twice as hard. It's like it goes from
10
like one kid.
times.
Yeah, it's the second kid, it's overwhelming because it's you go from like something that's manageable where you can kind of pass one kid back and forth to
Right.
where when you have two, it feels just completely unfair. Like
Yeah.
when you have a 2-year-old and a newborn, giving them to another person and being like, all right, I'll be back in a few hours is like, uh,
That's a
fuck,
lot.
you will. No,
Yeah.
you will be
Yeah.
back in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm counting
Yeah.
because every second that you're
Timer
gone,
started.
yes. And I will leave shortly after for the exact same amount of time.
Do,
Like,
do, 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 do.
yes, it is like at that point, it's like everything is so hard that every minute you're like, that was 12 minutes. That was 13 minutes. It's 14.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm taking a fucking half hour when he gets back. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Yep.
Yeah. Totally.
It's
Totally.
this was like the first year of Martel's life. It was just like, oh, it was brutal. So
Yeah. But okay, so I have a question for you though. You were not in a good relationship. You were in a dysfunctional and emotionally unsafe relationship where
I
you were
didn't
not
know that
really.
at the time.
Okay, so that was my question, though. That's my question. You were naive to that to a degree.
Yeah.
So, does the fact that that
I thought
was the
life was just
truth?
always hard in every aspect all the time.
Oh,
That's what
so
I
this
thought.
this is my question: is was your naivety to the fact that that was your reality enough to disqualify that from being something to take into consideration, or is it like, well, nope, the fact that that was the truth, even though I didn't know it, made it hard?
Yeah, but the thing, I'd been dealing with that for a long time, right? Like that was hard, but I'd already come to terms with and accepted the fact that I signed up for a hard marriage. Like
Yeah,
at that point I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get my needs met. I'm not like, and I think when you accept that, like there's a degree of nobility and also just ease of life when you accept your circumstances for what they are, when you're
yeah,
willing to be like, oh, this is what I signed up for. It's not what I hoped it would be, but I
right,
signed up for it, so I'm committed to it, so I'm just going to make it work. There's a level of like, I just didn't think about the difficulty of my marriage
yeah.
often because I like it held no
It
like it
didn't make a difference.
yeah, like the point of me doing that would have been to just create more discomfort for
Misery.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
So like it held no weight. I was just like, I'm not going to think about this. I'm just doing what I'm doing. So,
yeah.
but with that being the case, having a second kid, yeah, it made things noticeably challenging. Like it's that I laugh because that Jim Gaffigan skit where he talks about having multiple children, he's
It's like
like,
swimming,
it's
and
like
then you're drowning, and
you're
someone throws you a baby.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like you're drowning and somebody reaches down and hands you a baby. That's
yeah.
exactly what it's like. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that pretty much
Pretty
explains it
much.
to a T. So yeah,
It's difficult because I hear such mixed reviews, right? Like a lot of people share your same sentiment of like, "Meh, don't do that. Like you're in a good spot. Enjoy it. Just have the one." And then I'll meet somebody who says, "Have the second one. You'll regret it if you don't. It was the greatest thing ever. And yes, it's hard, but it's wonderful and you should do it. If you don't, you'll regret it." And it's like, "Oh my God, like both the consequences of each choice are so huge."
yeah, the yeah, it I don't think that there's no right or like if I look back on this situation like with my kids, like I would honestly tell you if I could do it again, I would only have one if I didn't know my kids already. Like knowing my kids now, there's obviously no way I would change anything because I love them to death and I'm so thankful that they're here and
Yeah.
what they've changed in my life. But yeah, like if you're asking me honestly, would I do things exactly how they were if I did not know the kids that were already here?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would have done it differently. I would have had maybe one, if that. Like,
Mm.
and I think everybody's different, but I think if I'm being honest, like it's hard because like going through stuff like we went through this year and holidays
Yeah.
where, like you're splitting up resources, you're splitting up your time and attention. And, there's a school of thought with people that have large families that, the kids kind of raise each other and themselves. And that school of thought works. That was the thought my parents had, and everybody in Utah, by the way, has the same school of
Yeah.
thought. Like, hey, let's have 27 children, and
Yeah.
the
They'll
3-year-old will
raise
just
themselves.
yeah, the 3-year-old will just be raised by the 12-year-old, which
Yeah.
is like, yeah, that's what happens in third world countries and why a bunch of these kids later become like serial killers and, like, yeah, well, like 3 of them went to college, the other 4 are in prison, and, one of them we can't find. We're pretty sure he's
Also just a distillation of what the
yeah,
world's society, right? Like you're creating your own microcosm of society when you have that many children.
yeah,
Some
I
are going to be
just
fuck ups, some's going to die, some are going to be poor, some are going to be rich.
yeah, I think the crux of me saying that is this. I am very aware of the attention my kids don't get from me, and
Mm,
I feel guilty about it always,
mm,
and that sucks. I wish that I could give them more of me, and at times I just don't have the capacity, and I'm honest with them about that, and I hate it, and I the difference is that when you have, small children, you can be much more emotionally in tuned more frequently because it's you can build in the capacity a little bit better. Going from like having two daughters and then two step boys, and when all of them are going through different things and I'm going through my own shit, it is really hard to be present for them and my wife at the
yeah,
same time. It feels overwhelming.
yeah,
And doing that while also processing, like I said, your own failures, your own
sure.
struggles, like it just it feels unfair. And so I think there's times I look back on it and I'm like, man, I if I had one kid, I could be so much better of a dad. Like
Yeah,
I would be, and the fact that I have four kids makes me feel like, oftentimes I'm falling into this.
perpetually failing.
Yeah, I'm falling into the same shit that happened with me and my parents, is that I'm not there enough. I'm not present enough. I don't have the capacity to meet them emotionally where they need me to meet them at like the 14-year-old girl phase, which that takes like a fucking hour for me to get myself mentally ready to engage there. All
Yeah,
right.
no shit.
I'm about to listen to my 14-year-old daughter talk about her boyfriend for the next, like, it's like she's gonna marry him and spend the rest of her life with him for the next
Oh
hour,
god.
and
Oh
and
god.
I just need to sit here and listen and do the best about not giving my opinion or saying anything. You know, it's
Yeah, that's a lot to prepare for.
it's fucking work. You know, and you have clients texting you, and Tamara's mad about something, and then one of my kids just hit the volleyball, eight of them across the over into the neighbor's yard and didn't go get any of them. It's just like the level of things happening all at one time. It's just too much
Pure
sometimes.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I warn you, this conversation has taken a dark turn.
But the holidays are so great when you have four children.
Like
Let's
this is
restructure our whole futures so that we can fantasize about Christmas.
this is why people love the idea of being grandparents. It's because it's like, oh,
You get to
grandparents.
do all this without having the strings
Yeah,
attached.
you're like,
Yeah,
I get to just emotionally connect and disconnect when I want to, and I
when I
don't
want
feel
to.
any yeah, I feel no guilt about it.
Which
They're
is
not
why
my
my
children.
mom is like, have another one, have another one, have
Yes.
another one.
They're like, because I can see them once a week for 10 minutes and I get everything I need from that. And
Emotional bump and
yes,
not any of the
and I
fallout.
have nothing to do outside of that if I don't want
Yes.
to. But
Yeah.
all right, well, we can wrap up our conversation on the holidays there. I think that's a good cheery spot. Don't have more kids.
Yeah, exactly.
No
My
more
takeaway
holiday
from the
cheer.
holidays, fuck kids.
Not literally. We're not talking Epstein files
No,
here. We're
don't
talking.
do that. God.
Come on, I'm gonna clip that.
That's our holiday promo.
That's
Well, how were your holidays? Fuck kids, but not that way.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure YouTube's gonna ban this one already.
Yeah, that's probably not allowed. We're on some lists. We're part of the Epstein files now.
They're like, we're both gonna get visits from the FBI in the next
Yeah.
few months. So,
Yep.
um,
Totally.
what was we're gonna jump into the best thing that's happened this week now. So, closing
Hmm.
on a good note, like we always do, Hannah. So,
Yes. Okay. So I would say the best thing that happened to me, I got to take a few days off from work. I had a few days of vacation left to burn. And so I was able to have like several days off in a row. And it was really nice in the first time in a long time to mentally just really shut that part of my brain off and be able to really dedicate my time and energy to my family. And that was so wonderful.
yeah, that's freaking amazing.
It was.
So, what was the best thing that happened to? I mean, I'll kind of take it back to, um, Like the best and the worst, the holiday seasons, as challenging as they can be when we have no money, the joy of just having like we are in a good phase with our kids. And this is
Yeah,
probably the joyous part about having multiple kids, is that my step boys and my daughters get along really well,
it's
and
nice.
seeing them all just enjoy each other's company and just sit and talk and um like have time together. This is the kind of stuff that, like I think back about my childhood, like these times really do kind of fill your cup a little bit.
Totally.
They they inspire you to think about like how you want to raise your kids. And I remember always thinking one of my biggest frustrations about my parents getting divorced when I was in my 20s was the fact that I had always dreamed about bringing my family home to Utah for Christmas. And I didn't realize it at the time, but the very destruction of that exact thing, like, was the thing that
Mm,
actually subconsciously made me hate my dad for a number of years without knowing. I mean, he's a piece of shit for a number of other reasons, but like it was my expectations of wanting to bring my family home for Christmas every year after I've moved away that actually drove a lot of that. And a lot of that's
interesting.
and a lot of that was because we had a great Christmas. Like,
Yeah,
it was one of the few days of the year that my parents actually chilled. Like, they unwinded, they were pleasant with each other. My parents rarely ever fought. Like, our family, everybody was excited. Like, it was rare that things broke down into fights or anything else. Like, it was one of the few times that like our family actually like almost always got along and just was
yeah,
happy. So like I took that as something that was freaking great and probably idealized it a little bit, but
sure.
seeing that with my kids and how they connect with each other, I hope that they, at least that the feeling they get from that is something that they want to replicate when they're older with, future holidays and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So there's that.
sweet.
All right, Hannah, what are we talking about next week? We got some serious, we gotta get into some unweighted, some real shit. We're launching into 2026. What's our goals for next year?
Ooh, okay. Maybe we should talk about, well, I mean, this is just an idea, but
I'm
maybe
gonna
we could talk about goal setting and the weightiness of trying to be intentional for an entire year and how much that process can be overwhelming and how do you actually go about doing that in a feasible, attainable way?
That's a fucking great idea because I'm a major league goal setter. I do it every year.
All right.
So, and you are correct. Goal setting has some pros and cons. The feeling of, if goal setting causes you to feel like a failure all the time, then it's probably not working the way it should. So
Yeah.
like I think there is an art to setting goals, and I think that's a great conversation to have. So
Okay.
and a great way to launch the year. So
Let's do it.
we're setting some podcast goals for next year, Hannah.
Okay.
And hint,
I'm down.
they're revolving around habits, not results, Hannah. So bring it.
Oh.
There you go.